Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and this is the iPhone 14 Plus. This is the last iPhone 14 to launch this year, and it's the larger size, which now replaces the Mini. So we'll unbox this, set it up, and take a first look. Now this comes in at $899, goes up to $1,199. However, if you buy it unlocked, meaning not through a carrier, it's an additional $30. So we have three different options: 128, 256, and 512 gigabytes. This is the blue color, but we have purple, midnight, starlight, and red, or product red. Now let's go ahead and open this up. This is the 128 gigabyte model. You'll see it says iPhone 14 Plus. So let's open it up. We'll compare it in size to the 14 Pro Max. And we'll open the bottom part. And let's go ahead and open the box. So we can see inside, here's the 14 Plus in blue, and it looks pretty much just like the iPhone 14, just sort of a little bit bigger. Let me set this aside. We'll take a look at what's in the box. So just typically like we have every year, since this year we don't have a SIM card, it says you no longer need a physical SIM card. Activate your eSIM during iPhone setup. Then we have a warranty card and then an Apple sticker. Also, we have a charging plug, so we have USB-C to Lightning, and that's it. We don't get a charger in the box. And I'll link some in the description if you want to check them out. Now let's go ahead and take the cover off the phone. And we'll set that aside. Now this is the less expensive phone this year, so it means that it's made out of aluminum. So we have aluminum around the outside edge, or aluminium, depending where you live. We have a power sleep wake button on the right side, a millimeter wave antenna on the same side, and then some antenna lines. On the bottom, of course, we still have Lightning, although next year we may have USB-C. We have a microphone and then a speaker, and also an antenna line. And then on the other side, we have volume up, volume down, and our silent switch. Nothing on the top. Now the front is ceramic shield, and we have glass on the back with wireless charging with MagSafe and 2 cameras instead of 3 cameras. Now if we take a look at the 14 Pro Max next to it, you'll see the size is very similar. However, the size of the 14 Plus is more similar to the 13 Pro Max. So the overall size is very similar there, and you'll see side by side. They're very close, but the 14 Plus is ever so slightly narrower, it seems, but not very much of a difference. You can see the camera bumps are significantly different. We have a much smaller one on the 14 Plus, and of course it doesn't stick out as far either since we don't have the upgraded cameras to 48 megapixels. So very similar there, and of course we don't have the dynamic island on the front. We still have the notch. Now let's go ahead and we'll turn it on, and this comes in at 7.16 ounces or 203 grams. Let's boot it up here. Give it just a moment. And this has a 6.7-inch display, similar to that of the 14 Pro Max. However, it's not the 120 hertz display with a dynamic island. Instead, it's a 60 hertz display at 2,778 by 1,284 with 458 pixels per inch. So very similar in resolution overall, but it doesn't go as bright. It goes up to 800 nits for regular use as opposed to 1000 nits on the 14 Pro Max, and up to 1200 nits with HDR video instead of 2000 with the 14 Pro Max. So we'll go ahead and set this up. We'll swipe up here. We'll bring a phone nearby. So now we'll bring the little QR code in. It says getting things ready, and we're going to move the SIM card from this phone to this one, so I'll show you how that works. So now I have to put in the passcode of the other phone. Now it's asking me to transfer the number via an eSIM. We can transfer now or set up later. Let's go ahead and transfer. And it says transfer your SIM to this iPhone. So we'll go ahead and tap on transfer number. Now you can always transfer it back later through the cellular settings. It says confirm transfer on your other phone. We'll hit OK. Now it says confirm transfer. We double click the power sleep wake button, and it will confirm the transfer and transfer the eSIM from this phone to the other. So it says finish on the new iPhone. You'll see at the bottom it says activating, so we'll give that just a moment. Now it says cellular setup complete. We'll tap continue. And now we'll set up Face ID. So this is just like any other phone with Face ID. We'll tap continue, and we can set it up. Tap on get started, and just put your face in the frame and move your head around. And usually we have to do it twice, or we can use Face ID with a mask or don't use it. We'll set it up for don't use for now and tap continue. Now we can transfer the data. So we can download from iCloud or we can transfer it directly from the phone. Typically transferring from the phone is really nice, but it takes a long time. If you download from iCloud, it's usually a little bit quicker, and you'll see it says it will start, or it can start using your iPhone in about 15 minutes. So we'll do that for now. We'll wait for it to set up the Apple ID, and let's get things moved over. Now it says make this your new iPhone, and we'll bring everything over. Tap on continue. It's going to set up Apple Cash and all of your different cards that you use. And this is one of the new features. It has crash detection built in using the accelerometer and other sensors. And it says press and hold for emergency SOS, crash detection, and coming fall 2022 emergency SOS via satellite. That's probably arriving with iOS 16.1. After you put in your account information, now it restores from iCloud. So we'll give it a moment to complete and then we'll continue. Now everything's restored. It's restoring all of the different apps right now, but now we're at the main home screen. And so it's actually copied over the wallpaper here. And let's go ahead and take a look at the wallpapers we have and what version this is on. So if we go to settings, then we go down to general, then about, you can see it came pre-installed with version 16.0.2. So this is the current public version. I thought maybe we'd have 16.0.3, but it came pre-installed with this one. If we go back and go down to wallpaper, let's see what we've got. So we can add a new wallpaper, and built in, of course, we have featured. If we scroll down, we've got our collections, and at the end, we have the new wallpaper for the current phone. So if we go in here, we have midnight. You can see at the bottom. As we swipe to the right, we have starlight, red, blue, and then purple. So we'll switch it to blue. We'll just hit add for now. We can customize everything a little bit later. We'll hit done. And now we're on this wallpaper. So that's the pre-installed wallpapers that come with it. And this feels very much like I'm using an iPhone 13 Pro Max. So very similar, other than its weight, because it's aluminum and it feels very lightweight. And now one of the major updates that Apple said with this phone is that it has the best battery of any iPhone. However, that's a little odd because it actually doesn't have better battery than the 14 Pro Max, depending on what you're doing. So it has a 4,325 milliamp hour battery, and Apple says that's good for 26 hours of video playback. However, on the 14 Pro Max, they say it's good for 29 hours of video playback. But if you go to the music playback or audio playback, it's good for 100 hours on the 14 Plus and only 95 on the 14 Pro Max. So it really depends on what you're doing as to whether or not it will have the best battery life. However, because it doesn't have ProMotion and it doesn't have an always-on display, that may really improve battery life, but we'll have to test that over time. Now, one thing that's a bit disappointing for some people is that this has last year's processor from the 13 Pro Max, the A15 Bionic, not the upgraded A16. So it has a 6-core CPU and a 5-core GPU with a 16-core neural engine. It's super fast, no issues there, but it's just last year's processor, so that may be disappointing for some. If we go into Geekbench, we can see how much RAM we have, and every single phone this year appears to have about 6 gigabytes of RAM, so 5.54 gigabytes according to Geekbench. So that's good that all of the phones have that, but for some reason we still have the older processor. But that seems to be more than enough to handle this display and everything else going on with it. Now, the cameras do get an upgrade this year. The forward-facing camera gets upgraded with autofocus. So if we spin this around, let me take off my glasses here, and let's switch to video. Now we're recording with the forward-facing camera of the iPhone 14 Plus. So this gives you an idea of what it looks like, what it sounds like, and it's keeping pretty good autofocus overall. So I think it should be a great camera. I've been using it in different videos, and in fact, every video where I appear in it is actually filmed with an iPhone 14 Pro typically, and it's the same camera. So it looks pretty good. So let me know what you think of that in the comments below. And then, of course, with the camera, we do have rear cameras with 12 megapixel sensors. We don't get a 48 megapixel sensor in this, but we do have an f1.5 aperture on the main camera, and the ultra wide has an f2.4. We have the photonic engine this year and a couple different features. So if we go into camera, switch it around here to the back camera, you'll see 4K 30. We have 4K cinematic mode this year, so we can switch over to 4K in 30 frames per second and also 24 frames per second. But we also have an action mode. So if we go into video, you'll see that we have this little icon here. Tap on it and it gives us an action mode. So as we move fast or the phone is actually jiggling around, it should stabilize that footage, as you can see here. So as we move quickly, it really stabilizes the footage, but you do go down to 2.8K. So that makes a little bit of a difference, but you can upscale that in any editor. Other than that, the cameras should be better when it's dark out, but again, it shouldn't be any different than what we have with the 14. So the 14 and 14 Plus are basically the same phone. To give you an idea of size compared to an 11 Pro Max, just in case you haven't seen one of the newer phones, the 11 Pro Max is still heavier due to its stainless steel construction, but feels a little bit smaller because it doesn't have the squared off edges. But it's still a little heavier at 226 grams versus 203. However, overall, it's a little bit narrower, a little bit shorter, and it's about the same thickness, very similar. But in general, the 14 Plus feels like a little bit bigger phone and definitely a lot lighter. But it's very, very similar as far as everything else, even though it has a larger display. Now you can see we have a bunch of fingerprints on the back, so I would recommend a case or skin or something else. But these feel very similar as far as what we've had for the past few years. You really feel like the newer phones have all of the great features. However, the 14 Plus seems to have some good ones, but for $1,000, I would probably opt for the 14 Pro over the 14 Plus. But that really depends on what you're looking for. Of course, we have IP68 ratings for 6 meters for 30 minutes, and that's about it. Nothing is really different compared to last year's phones. We have upgraded cameras, a larger size, and we no longer have the Mini. But let me know if you have any specific questions in the comments below. I'd love to answer any of those, as many people may be looking at this. Are you going to be picking up a 14 Plus, or are you going to opt for maybe the 14 Pro Max, the 14 Pro, or something else? Let me know in the comments below. If you haven't subscribed already, though, please subscribe, and if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. This is Aaron. I'll see you next time.